Okay, hi, I'm Dr. Ben Newman. I study coronaviruses for a living, and let's try to answer some of your questions with published science. So, today's next question is from BA. Yeah, all right. Yeah, not the one from the A team. Fine. I have done a search and found a couple of your videos, but this being a new article, assuming new research, can you please help fact check this article? If masks are in fact making people quote unquote immune to SARS-CoV-2. Yeah, which I don't know. Yeah, on the surface of it, this sounds like nonsense. But I read the article, and there's some good stuff in here. So let's dissect this corpse, shall we? Okay. Let's see. First of all, considering the source, the Telegraph is not bad. It's not the Sun. It's not the Mail. Yeah. It's trying, and even those papers try sometimes. So yeah, okay. But I would say that whoever put this article together for the Telegraph should have known better. Somebody is using, I don't know, sloppy words, or maybe the headline doesn't capture fully the ideas that it's supposed to be expressing. That's the thing that you find with a lot of newspaper science. The attempt to sort of boil it down to a sentence sometimes does not go gracefully. So, what is the science talking about? So, this is actually a study, and it was done with hamsters. They have hamsters in one cage, hamsters in another cage, and a little wall made of face masks that they've presumably taped together or something. Maybe hot glued. Yeah, hot glued face mask wall. In between the cages. And so these guys are infected, these guys are not infected, and they're looking to see how easily can we transmit the infection from one side to another. And hamsters can definitely get SARS-CoV-2, and the virus, just the regular virus, the same one that infects people, infects hamsters and causes similar respiratory symptoms, although there are some differences. It's generally a little faster. It's not this sort of slow burn that we get with humans. And there will be some differences in the actual way that their immune systems work because, yeah, hamsters aren't people. Yeah. So what this is reporting is that the hamsters on behind the face mask wall, behind the face mask curtain, some of them did get infected, but generally they had less symptoms than the ones that were deliberately infected. And so I don't know whether they had another cage, like you could have your cage right here of definitely infected ones, your cage right here of direct transfer with no face mask wall, and your cage somewhere else, maybe on the other side, with the face mask wall. And so then you could do a good comparison between transmitted virus and symptoms from that. So yeah, they're seeing fewer symptoms, and the researchers, at least as quoted in the article, are concluding that the amount of virus that an animal or probably a person receives definitely has something to do with how severe these symptoms are going to be. Generally, the larger dose of virus that you or any animal anywhere, or even like a tree, gets, the more severe the symptoms are going to be. There are maybe some reasons for this, but honestly, those reasons are for an entire different video. It would have to go into quasi-species. It would have to go into things like septic shock, stuff like that, and it would be very dependent on what kind of animal we're talking about. So let's just say that, yeah, there's a really solid precedent that throughout time, when people have studied viruses, if you have a multicellular animal, like a thing that you can set in front of you and see, and it receives a larger dose of virus, it will have more severe symptoms, possibly even to the point of death. And if it has a lower amount of virus, it may become infected, but the chance of severe symptoms is much less. And so the idea that is being abstracted, and I'm guessing this is the reporter who is maybe a journalist, maybe went into journalism because science wasn't going to work out. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. This person is then saying that it's like they're building immunity because since you're wearing a mask, you're only getting small doses of virus. So it's not the mask that's building immunity. I think we should be clear about that because there's no mechanism where you could make an antibody or a T cell that recognizes anything from a mask and have that protect you against COVID. That's not a thing that can exist in this version of the universe as we understand it and as we understand immunology. But wearing a mask and lowering the dose that comes in could lead to lower symptoms potentially. I haven't seen good evidence that this is definitely the case in humans. Intellectually, it makes sense because it works this way when you can control the situation, like when you're giving different mice different amounts of a virus. This is something that you can very reliably see. So it really makes sense that it could work this way. It's just a difficult experiment to do because you're not going to go and deliberately infect somebody with coronavirus. And you would never want to deliberately infect somebody with a lot of coronavirus in the hope that they would get extremely severe symptoms. Yeah, that's unethical on all kinds of grounds. And also, if you're trying to go backwards, if you're trying to look at people who got infected, you can't ever really be sure how much of a dose they got because you can't see it and it wasn't a controlled situation. So that's one of those things where we'll have to just take our guidance from the animal experiments and assume that until proven otherwise, probably works the same in people, I would say. So yeah, the only part that I really disagree with in there is kind of the headline part that masks can make you immune, because I feel like that's the bit that's going to get picked up and spread around, and that is not good science. But it's all good science underneath that. It's just the little conclusion, like the tie it up with a bow kind of bit on the top. That's the one that where the nonsense has crept in, or where we just can't get all of the data into one sentence that is also kind of catchy and looks good as a newspaper headline, maybe. So there you go. Good science, bad conclusion. Thanks very much. This has been Ask Dr. Ben.